Welcome to the third edition of our AuthorTube interviews.
Let's meet the AuthorTubers.
Hey everybody, I'm Router Sam Wicker here on YouTube and for most of my social medias. I'm here to do a little bit of a collab. I want to thank y'all for watching.
Hi, I'm Bobby Nash. I'm an author and I'm excited to be here answering some writing questions.
What genre do you enjoy writing the most?
I enjoy writing fantasy the most. Now, I do throw in a bit of romance, so I guess it's equal parts fantasy and romance.
I am a big fan of thrillers. I like thrillers because they mix and match very well with other genres. You can have crime thrillers, you can have mystery thrillers, you can have sci-fi thrillers, you can have superhero thrillers, you can have horror thrillers, etc., etc. So there's something fun about the writing thriller aspects, writing that scary kind of jumps out at you moments, those tension building, anxiety building moments where you take your characters that you hopefully love and you've gotten to know very well, and you put them into these situations that test their mettle, and you hope that they come out on the other side of the story better, or in some cases broken. I mean, it depends on the story you're telling. But I love putting my characters through all sorts of hell. It's sadistic and all that, but it's just fun. It's seeing how they respond to those type of plots and those type of stories and those kind of the incidents that I put them in. So yeah, definitely thrillers, and like I said, thrillers mix very well with other genres. I do quite often come back to the crime thriller. I have a couple of series that are crime based. One follows a sheriff of a small town. One follows a private investigator. I also have a series that follows it follows an FBI agent. I have one that follows a detective. So I do a lot of stories where we're trying to solve a crime, and putting those in the thriller genre.
How long have you been writing for?
I've been writing for a very long time, possibly since I've been able to write. There's a little booklet that I have, or that my mom saved, and it's of a little story about a bird, I think. I'll have to look it up again, but I think that was second or maybe third grade, and that's the first story I remember actually writing down. So yeah, I've been a writer for quite a while.
I started writing when I was in high school. My grand goal in life, I was going to be a comic book artist. That was my goal. That was my plan. It turns out I'm not that good an artist. I can doodle and dabble, but I wasn't quite good enough to really sell the story as an artist. But I was writing stories to have things to draw. And other artist friends of mine started coming to me going, hey, can you write something for me? And so that was kind of where it started, where the writing bug really hit me, was crafting comic book stories for other artists to draw, and that collaborative process, which I still enjoy today as I write comics. It's a wonderful thing to mix the story and art, because you always get this nice blending of the best of both your writer and your artist. It's a very cool process to work through. While I was doing comics, this urge hit me. It's like, I'm going to write a novel, and I did, and it was awful. It was terrible, but I finished it. But in finishing it, I was given the confidence to try it again. So I wrote a second novel in a different vein. The first one was a science fiction novel, and I later went back and rewrote it. My second attempt at a novel actually ended up being my first novel sale. It was a novel called Evil Ways, that you can see on the poster on the wall there. Evil Ways was my the first novel that I sold, so I was very excited about that. My first published work was in 1992, and it was very lean pickings there for a while. In 2000, I sold my first professional comic script, and in 2004, I sold Evil Ways to a publisher, and it came out in 2005. And I've been steadily working since then as a writer. So very exciting. So from 2000 to 2022, so I guess 22 years since I've been doing it, and it's getting published. So wow, doesn't feel like there are days it doesn't feel like it's been that long, and there are other days it feels like it's been so much longer. But yeah, so 22 years.
Have you ever taken a creative writing or a literary course?
I have taken creative writing courses. I took one at Lees McRae College. That was the first college that I went to. Before that, I took a couple in high school as electives, and another one in middle school because they were starting to do electives in middle school. And I took a creative writing course there. So yeah, I've had a few. I've also joined a writing group after college as well, where we kind of taught each other. It was kind of a mix between a critique group and giving each other lessons on creative writing as well, because we would research a certain topic in the writing, such as, building a plot or a certain genre and their tropes and the beats that you have to hit and things like that. That was kind of a creative writing course as well. It was just kind of a group of women and I think 2 guys. So yeah, I've been in a few.
I've never taken a professional writing course, and by that I mean I haven't gone to a school and done all that as a 4-credit type class. I live in Georgia, and I'm about 30 some odd miles from the University of Georgia. And the University of Georgia offered night classes. They were not credit classes. They were just come and, they had classes. And there was a comic book class that I took, which was fun. I enjoyed it. It was it was a local guy who was doing comics for the newspaper, and he did comic books. While I was there, I discovered that there were a couple of creative writing classes. One was just called Creative Writing, and the other was called Murder and Mayhem for Fun and Profit. And I was like, how can I not take this class? That's just the coolest thing ever. And I was in the process of writing Evil Ways at the time, which features quite a bit of murder and mayhem, and fun and profit sounded pretty cool. So Harriet Austin taught those classes. One thing I really learned was how to work in front of people. We would do our work, bring it in, we would read in front of the class. Harriet would talk to us, but then we could get feedback from other students. And I learned so much from that process. To this day, sticks with me. It also helped me get over that shyness I had at the time that was very difficult for me to look at other people and read. And actually, I wish I had a physical aid in front of me. But in the early days, I would take my paper and I would hold the paper up in front of my face and read, so I couldn't see anybody as I was reading. And there was a lady in the class who started sitting next to me, and as I would read, she would reach over and put her hand on my arm and lower the paper. And after several times of her doing this, I just gave up of trying to cover my face and started reading. And that helped me quite a bit to get over that fear of, oh my God, they're looking at me. And so I learned a lot in those classes. They were a lot of fun. There was also a Harriet Austin Writers Conference, which I participated in several times, both as a visitor and as a guest after I was published. So I know there's a lot of writer groups that do something similar. You can learn a lot doing that. You can learn a lot from how other people do things, and that instant feedback. Oh, that instant feedback is incredible. The instant feedback helped me quite a bit with character development and things like that. So if you ever see me in person, ask. I'll happily tell that story.
Do you listen to music while you write?
I listen to a lot of music, and the genre of music depends entirely upon what I'm writing. My epic fantasy is usually these classical movements or soundtracks that are kind of fantasy based. I listen to a lot of the Lord of the Rings channels here on YouTube, and that was my go-to, was Lord of the Rings. Some of the Percy Jackson ones, some of the Hogwarts ones, but not very many, because those tended to have some ASMR that kind of drew me out of the writing. But yeah, a lot of the fantasy works. My punky little vampires I tend to listen to symphonic metal and Metallica and just a little bit of everything. I do have an Earth Witch story that's set in a small town that I kind of grew up in the mountains, and I listen to a lot of country while writing that. So yeah, it depends on what I'm writing as to what genre of music I'm actually listening to while I write.
I do listen to music. It blends into the background pretty quick, so I don't have playlists or anything like that. I considered it at one time, but because the music kind of just becomes background noise for me, it seemed like a lot of work to put together a playlist for something I was barely going to pay attention to. I used to just turn the radio on, or there was a time when I had like CD, back before streaming. I would, yes, I'm that old. I would burn CDs onto my laptop, and I would just turn them on, put it on shuffle, and let just music play. Because I would like to work outside. I would sit on the porch, or I'd go to restaurants, put earphones in, and so the music would just kind of. It didn't matter what it was just there. Now, with the advent of streaming and satellite radio, on my laptop I just turn on satellite radio, pick a channel, and sometimes it's whatever I'm in the mood for that day, or whatever, and I just pick a channel and let it play. Here lately, I've spent a lot of days either listening to the Elvis channel or the Tom Petty channel, or like the classic rock channel, because those are songs I know, and so they blend into the background, and they just become this background noise that keeps me from going, God, it's quiet in here. That helps me a lot, and then every once in a while they'll play a song that kind of makes me go, ooh, I love that song. But for the most part, it's just background noise. I cannot turn the TV on. The TV is a different animal. But even if it's from where I'm sitting now doing this, there is a TV off to my left. I can't see it from where I am. I do have it blocked from the desk. But even if it was on and I was just listening, because the visuals are there, you would find yourself constantly looking. So I don't do the TV, but I can do a radio, and it's just nice, good background noise, because I don't like the silence can be deafening. So,
Do you schedule your writing time?
I try to schedule my writing time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I blame it on me being an Aquarius as to whether or not I can actually schedule things out. My schedule kind of goes with the flow. I do the time blocks instead. I plan on doing certain things for certain amounts of time throughout the day. Whether I do laundry in the first time block when I write it down, or I write in the first time block, that I have, that's kind of up in the air. It just kind of depends on what I feel on doing at that moment. But I try to get all those task blocks done in the day that I've kind of assigned them to. And that's how I kind of have a writing schedule.
Scheduling writing time is weird. I've tried to go from 10 to 2, and that doesn't work for me. My life is fairly chaotic. I take care of my father, who likes to go out, likes to ride, likes to go, do things, and has doctor's appointments. And so a lot of my schedule revolves around his schedule. And his schedule sometimes changes on a dime. Whereas I'm a planner. If I know I'm going to go out to the movies, I know 3 or 4 days in advance I'm going. My dad gets the urge to do something. We're doing it right now. It's hard to plan. However, I do something every day. I do schedule days off, but unless I've scheduled a day off, I do work every day. I get up in the mornings. Usually in the mornings, I do little admin things. Now, I don't get up early in the morning. I'm a night owl. But I do like admin things. I answer emails. I talk to publishers. If edits come in, I do those in the morning, get them out of the way, make some posts, update the websites, whatever. Then usually my dad and I go out. We have lunch. We ride around, do doctor's errands, whatever. When I get back home in the afternoon, I then sit down and work from around like 2 to 7 or whatever when I go to cook him dinner. Doing that is a good long chunk of time. Then I fix dinner, watch some TV, read, whatever. And then I do a night sprint work, come and sit down for 2 or 3 hours, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and work for 2 or 3 hours, and then kind of take a couple hours to wind down before I go to bed. So that's kind of how my schedule works. Like any plan, it can change from day to day, but as long as I'm getting something done every day, I'm fairly happy. I have a spreadsheet of deadlines and how many words need to be done by certain days. So that tells me, okay, you've got to do X number of words a day to meet that. And so if I know I'm going to go to the movie or go out to dinner with friends and I'm going to miss one of my writing times, I know what I need to do so I can schedule around it and do more the day before or more the day after. I'm fortunate to do this full time, so that makes scheduling that a little easier. When I worked a full-time job and did this and had family stuff, it was not so much this big of a schedule, but it was like, okay, you've got so much to do a day, make the time.
Have you ever joined NaNoWriMo, or do you plan to in the future?
I have joined a lot of NaNoWriMos. The first one was back in, I want to say 2003, somewhere around in there. And I've joined a lot, not every single one, but a lot from 2003 up until now. The past few years, I've done almost every single NaNoWriMo and most of the camp NaNoWriMos, but I have done every single nano in some form or fashion. And I plan on and I plan on staying the course with NaNoWriMo. I plan on participating in a lot more, I hope.
I have never done NaNoWriMo. I think the concept is pretty cool. I love that so many people get stuff out of it. I've never done it. I joked once that, why would I do NaNoWriMo? I do all year Rimo because, this is my full-time job and I write all year long. So, yeah, so pulling 1 month out to call that my writing month doesn't really work for me. I do think there's a lot of cool things people have learned from doing Nano. I've talked to several people that have gotten really good things out of it. Certainly the ability to write quickly, and which, when you become a professional comes in handy because deadlines wait for no one. And sometimes, in my case, I work for multiple publishers and do some stuff on my own. So there's a lot of times where 3 different publishers have hired me to write something and they all have the exact same deadline. And you're like, oh. So you then, you're planning it. So being able to write fast and plan, I think Nano teaches a lot of that. So, yeah, cool. Kudos to anyone that's able to do it and win it. I think it's an incredible thing. And, yeah, anything that helps your writing process, absolutely do it. Yeah.
Has another author inspired your writing style in any way?
My writing has been inspired by a lot of authors. I'm like most writers, I am a heavy reader, so I think all the authors that I've read have possibly inspired me in some form or fashion, whether it's in the verbiage I use or it's in the kind of genre that I want to write in, or it's just, if they can do it, I can do it too kind of mentality. So yeah, I feel that every author that I've read has added a little bit of inspiration here and there. But the authors that have inspired me the most, I would have to say, is J.R.R. Tolkien, because epic fantasy, and I love Middle-earth. I love that world. Another one would be Cassie Clare, and another one would probably be Edgar Allan Poe. I know that's kind of a weird combination, but yeah, those are the 3 main ones that inspire me, and Jane Austen too, because I have a lot of snark in some of my writing, like she did.
I learned so much from so many different authors. And by that, I don't just mean how to write or how they write or how a story is told. I've certainly learned a lot of that from reading novels and comics and short stories and whatever. Watching movies, I've learned a lot about how other people tell a story. So, yes, so there's a lot of influence there. I've been doing this a while. I've gotten to know other authors. So I learn a lot from talking with other authors, going, going to them with questions. It's like, I'm having trouble with this, and seeing how they handled it. That has been a wonderfully tremendous, bit of inspiration for doing things, friendly rivalries, other writer friends and I are in the same anthology where we're trying to one up each other, not in any serious way, but we're just to have fun and to kind of inspire each other to be our best. But there's also, that's the inspiration for the writing side of it. I've also learned a lot from watching other, and not just writers, creators, actors, musicians, artists, you name it, from watching how they act, how they treat their fans, how they interact with their fans, how they work at conventions, how they interact with their fans, how they meet people, how they treat people, how they talk to people, how they perform on panels, how they do what they do. There's a lot of inspiration that comes from that. And you can learn things good and bad. You can go, ooh, I like what they do. I can kind of learn from that. Or, ooh, I don't like that. So I can learn from that as well. Not that either of it's bad or good. It's just what works for you. And so fairly early on, I do a lot of conventions and conferences and things like that. And so I would people watch. I would watch not just the guests and the professionals, but I would watch the attendees. You know, how do they act? How do you, what do you get out of seeing how people respond in these situations? And that, I think, not only helped me to have a persona of what to do when you're in public, but I learned a lot about writing too, because you would see how people's real life reflects their writing. What goes into their writing, what do they tap into? So I've learned a lot. There's a lot of inspiration that comes from meeting people that way. So
How long have you been a part of the AuthorTube community?
This year technically makes my 4th year. I watched the AuthorTube community and participated in some of the comments and everything for about a year and a half before I actually started making videos. I've been making videos for technically 3 years, but we're going to say 2 because I did take a big break between my first set of videos and the time that I started being consistent with my AuthorTube channel.
I'm familiar with the AuthorTube community. I pop in and out periodically. I'm not sure when was the first time I had heard of it, but yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm terrible with dates. I'm terrible with names. I love seeing and hearing from other writers. I love talking to other writers. I love learning from other writers. Writers have a cool, if you put up a video on YouTube about, you know, your process or how you deal with this, or how do you prepare for a convention? What do you put on your table? How do you, whatever. There's a lot of great information, I think, that you can learn from how others do it, and go, ooh, that's a cool idea. I'm going to steal that. Or, emulate. Let's say emulate. Let's not say steal. But it's also cool because of the beauty of the internet, especially during the recent years with pandemics and things like that. The internet and YouTube and things have become a lifeline in some way for us to connect to people all around the world. I do a lot of podcasts, video blogs, virtual panels, online convention type stuff. and I can, and it's allows me to reach people that I might not be able to reach, on my budget of actually physically going to places. I've done podcasts that are on the other side of the world from where I live. So there's a lot of wonderful stuff in building that community of authors on YouTube. And it's wonderful. I love it. I love doing it. I love talking to people, even though I'm babbling, which I tend to do. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's fun. Doing stuff like this is cool. You get to meet new people. And also from a purely business standpoint, this is as cool and fun as doing stuff is. This is part of your marketing. This is part of your promotion. This is part of you. Yes, I'm not here actively going, buy this, buy this, buy this. But I am talking, you're getting to know me. And hopefully if you like me, you'll go, hey, you see that poster on the wall? Let me check out that. Or that kind of thing. Or this guy's full of himself. I don't want to read his stuff. You can, I guess it can work either way. It is great to get out and meet people. I love the community. I love the fact that I've gotten to know so many creative people over the years. So, like I said earlier, if I ever get stuck or, you have those bad days or those, I don't know what I'm doing. This, I'm ready to hang this up, or, I have people I can call that will talk me off that ledge who understand, because they've gone through it as well. So I love the community. I think the community is wonderful, and I'm thrilled to be part of it, and I hope it continues to grow.
Has joining the AuthorTube community helped you in some way?
The AuthorTube community is a community, and that in and of itself has helped me a lot. Whenever I've been feeling down, whenever I have imposter syndrome or self-loathing or something like that, somebody just pops up with a video and it's like magic. It's what I needed to hear at that moment. And that's helped me a lot. The videos that I watched before I started making my own videos helped me out a lot. I finished the first draft of my first book, and that was the first draft that I have ever completed just because of the AuthorTube community. And since then I've completed 4 more, and we're working towards getting published. So yeah.
This kind of goes in with the last question, but yeah, it's like I said, it helps because you can meet and get to know other creators who are experiencing a lot of the same things you are. As a writer, you often feel alone because it's a solitary job. I write in an office by myself. So seeing people in person is not something that happens frequently. So having people I know who understand what it is to be a writer, who understand those aspects of it, I think it's wonderful because you can help each other in different ways, not just if there's a problem, but, a writer friend puts a new book out and you congratulate them, or you share their book launch news. It's a great bit of community where we can all support and help each other. And that I find that wonderful.
If you could meet any AuthorTuber in person, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna have a little caveat here. I have such social anxiety that the idea of me liking meeting someone is a concept that I cannot fathom. But I feel that interacting with this community will help out with that, because I feel kind of like we're already friends in a way. So I would love to meet author J.C. Carpenter, because I think we would vibe really well and we would just be almost like the best of friends. Maybe, I hope. And I kind of just want to give her a big hug. And I think that we would just fit well as friends or meeting in person. Another one would be Barrett Laurie. Again, I think we would just vibe well, and I feel like we're already friends. Another one would probably be Kate Kavanaugh. I think that her and I would get along really well. My anxiety wouldn't be like through the roof, maybe. So those 3 definitely I would love to meet in person.
This one's tough. because there's a lot of really cool people that do these videos, and I have been fortunate to meet a few. It is really cool to meet people in person that you've known for years online or whatever. I surprised my friend Brian K. Morris last year. He was at a convention that was not an unreasonable drive from me, and he was at this convention, and so I popped up to surprise him. And it was the first time we had ever been in the same room together, but I had been on his show before. We had talked, various times. So I'd been on his Clever Title Pending show several times. So it was great. It was very fun to get out and have that in person moment. So yeah, that was a cool. So